A month ago, there was a blackout at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, rather around the country.
Yes.
And because of that, we then saw that there were huge issues at the airport. The generators did not kick in.
Yes.
Then we saw you then the next morning come. A man lost his job. Another one was transferred because for some reason you felt as though they were not doing what they ought to have done. And you said that such a situation would never occur at JKIA again.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, the same situation occurred and the generators did not kick in. And I remember asking my colleagues the night before, who is he going to sack tomorrow? You didn't sack anyone the next day.
There was no one to sack.
There was no one left to sack, all right. But you came in and said that you wanted the DCI to come and investigate because perhaps there was an issue of sabotage. And or some spirit living in the airport. We do not know. But the question is, really, Waziri, what on earth is going on? Because it doesn't look good, first of all, but in terms of operations at the airport and the solutions which you seem to be offering just don't seem to be working. So what's happening?
Thank you very much. I have, as a result of what's happening at the airport, my friends have suggested to me that I need to get my mattress. And in the evening, I go sleep next to the generator until the next morning.
In fact, a senator mentioned, what's so difficult?
I saw somebody saying that a generator is something you just plug in and plug out. Let me say this first of all. The problems we see at the airport are systemic of poor investment that we didn't put in place for many years. Our airport has suffered immense neglect. When 2013, when we came to office again under Jubilee administration, I say we because I was part of that administration. Soon thereafter, I think end of 2013, there was a fire that burned the part of the airport. And so a lot of concentration went to restoring the airport. And a great job was done by President Uhuru's administration to bring back an airport in a very short time. You know, it wasn't an easy thing to do. And then, of course, a reconstruction was done. You have a tent that is there to, you know, and then the Terminal 1A was reconstructed and so forth. As a result of the same, a lot of attention went to that direction, restoring the airport to be in the situation it is. What I still want to understand is that there is a problem when it comes to human resource at the airport. There is a feeling that, many people there many people of certain stage don't want to work at the airport. When we came to office, of the deputies, the GMs at the airport, of the 11 GMs, 5 were acting. Okay, and most of them with an advanced age. When you go with the department that's called engineering, that is critical for these generators issues. You have very thin support in terms of the staff below it. When I arrived, there was frequent blackouts, and now I see many people don't want to remember that the frequent blackouts in Eldoret Airport, and the planes were not taking off sometimes because runway lights. Forget about this blackout in the JKIA, which was only at the terminal itself. Runway lights were failing in Eldoret. So, and then we had all these maintenance problems across the country. So the first thing I did was to tell the KIA first we appointed a new board. And the new board, we told them to look at the human resource and see that nobody will be acting at critical position. You have an acting procurement, you have an acting legal, you have an acting engineering, and you have another acting person there, I think, strategy or something. Now you have people acting all over the airport. No, you have acting security because the term had ended. And these are critical positions at the airport. Then you look at critically below them, there is a problem. So the first thing the board did, understand the problem. Number 2, advertise. They advertised for various positions, at the airport. And as a result of that advertisement, the process of getting experts to come in has been ongoing. Already we are done with procurement. We are done with finance. Yes, the other position was finance, which was acting. We are now interviewing next week engineering, the department that the gentleman who offered to leave at that point in time had left. When I had a candid discussion with the former MD, he told me that the sabotage in the institution was too much, that he was unable to continue dealing with the problems they had with human resource administration across the place. He was just
Who was sabotaging him?
And what kind of sabotage are we talking about? I'm sorry, I have to interject and ask this question. Because here we are saying that there was and I just wanted, if I can simplify it just a little bit, there was a power blackout.
No, I'll come to the power blackout. I just wanted to tell you the state. I want to tell you the state of issues structurally, you know. Okay. So the MD had been there. His term was coming to an end. And he told me to be able to wade through. He was very kind. I will not be able to say everything because he spoke to me in confidence that, you know, the whole place, there were a number of people who are not doing their job. People are not pulling their weight. People are not willing to do their job. In fact, he was not getting support from interagencies, different agencies within the airport and so forth. So what I did, I told him, what can we do? He told me he has no problem if he can take an early exit from the position. And I thought that was a good opportunity for us now to fill in. So the gentleman which was in charge of engineering and the one in charge of airport did an early exit. When I went and asked, because we looked at each other with the MD and asked him, these generators have been here for 2 years, procured 2 years ago. How come cannot be installed? I was told, you know, it was procured by a company which was a sole proprietorship. The sole proprietor died, blah, 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 blah. We could not install all those kind of reasons that you are given. So when he left now, we started the process of installing the generators. Yeah, 2 generators. We installed the generators. I was given an assurance that it had been synchronized. You know what it means to. I know we are all not engineers, but that the synchronization process had been done for automatic kicking in. When switchover, when as soon as the electricity goes off.
Yes.
And in the first, that was August. A month ago, we had a blackout. Yeah, and during that blackout, the generator did not kick in. Okay. The explanation I was given is that the synchronization was not successful, and that the process. Remember, Eric, I see some people, and it is very, it's very disheartening, by the way, to see some people out there behaving like they know what generator we are talking about.
You pull the thing
they think that you just go and switch it. You know, people just propagate their ignorance out there. There's a whole, that's why you need an electrical engineer at a very high level to work on this process, is because there's a process that goes through what load of power comes to the generator.
Yes.
Can the generator be able to carry that burden and, and all, and so forth and so forth. Anyway, the electricity kicked in within 20 minutes. Remember, the August one took about 2 hours.
Yes.
This one took 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they said they sorted. The technical committee of the board went in. They tested the whole week and all that and so forth and so forth. This time round, it took another almost 30 minutes. But although not fully dark, it would come in, go off.
How long should it take?
It should take at most 1 minute.
Exactly.
Or 5. They say between a good one should take about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Now, for the good of the country also, because the story has been propagated that there was a blackout everywhere. The problem we're having at JKIA is Terminal 1A and Terminal 1E. The runway, the control tower, and the Terminal 1B, the terminal these are the terminals within the airport, were not affected. So the question you ask yourself, why are the other terminals working and this one did not? Is because they have dedicated generators to those particular terminals. There is what we call primary generator, which is the first one to kick in, and there's a secondary generator. Now, the primary generators are dedicated to those two terminals. So we had to have a honest conversation recently. And a number of information that was trickling in is that people think that, one, the generators are not of the capacity that was promised to be. Yeah, on the face of it, it's like you buy a car.
Do they meet the
yes, exactly. That they may not meet the specs. Number two, that the technicians who are manning the generators are not trained to support to do the switching. Like our friend thought, he thinks that it's a switch that is done like this. There's a knowledge that goes to it. Number three is that we think also that the synchronization process was not done the way it was done. So our testing is ongoing by experts that have come from KenGen, KPLC, and the report will be completed today. Why it was important to involve the DCI is because also some people suspected that these three failures were deliberate. You know, it was not as a result of not knowing, but it's deliberate. Why? Something is because we are carrying out massive changes in the airport itself. We are replacing a number of staff. Some people are unhappy that the changes are happening for whatever reasons. So to avoid gossip and bad blood and all that, I thought professionally, let's do it with an institution that can carry out criminal investigation. I expect the results to be either that there was sabotage or there was none. And even if there was none, what are the systemic problems we are dealing with? That is why KPLC and KenGen are giving us parallel support of investigation of this process. What else have we done? We have said, based on ICAO recommendations, even though the lights at the runway and the lights at the control tower did not go off, we want to do even further protection. So we allowed the KIA to quickly procure UPSs that will also support just have another layer of backup. Number two, we've told the KIA now, forget about this thing of this generator working or not working. Buy 2 other generators that are going to be dedicated to those 2 terminals.
Where does maintenance come in all of this? Because maintenance
I'll come to that.
Important.
Now, the procurement department that then the engineering department that I said we'll have the GM next week, the interviews, and will come in. We now want them when they come in to give us, because it is lacking, a maintenance policy that is continuous, including if we need an external support like we do in the roads, a performance-based contract to those who will maintain those assets. Now, you need to ask yourself, Eric, why does a cabinet secretary have to be the one to answer questions of a generator?
It is being questioned.
No, that's what I'm saying. Wait, no, not just being questioned. Why does it take a cabinet secretary? You know, the layer of an agency has the person, the technician who is there. He has a supervisor. He's a supervisor. He has a manager. He has a general manager. He has an MD. He has a chairman. There's a board, a chairman of the board, a PS, and then CS.
Yes.
It should tell you the truth that for a very long time, this is why that agency are not the other agencies is because for a long time this place had been abandoned. The staff had been demoralized. The people have been acting for too long. This human resource problem, once we fix it, because everything, even if you buy the best equipment, everything depends on the human resource. The last thing I want to say about the airport, so that we do away with this misconception. People have said, okay, we have class 1 approvals to fly to US, to fly to whatever.
Category 1.
And then this man is saying the airport has been abandoned. The good news is that the government, the previous administration, concentrated on those areas that allow us to continue flying to those destinations. The security processes and protocols, including the equipment, are very good. We just need to continue maintaining them. Our airport is one of the safest because of the collaboration we have with the security department in terms of protection of the airport. Of course, we have had incidences here of drugs, of what, once in a while, it is sent to other countries. But just like any other airport in the world, you have those challenges. But that part of our airport is excellent. And you must give credit to previous administration for focusing on that. In fact, we want to improve on the scanners at the entrance so that we make sure that it works well. The last thing, some people have misconstrued my argument that there was a sabotage and applied it to KPLC. CS Davis Chirchir, and I speak here out of collective response. I'm not the kind of a cabinet secretary who runs away or blames a colleague or another department. CS Davis Chirchir, both at the cabinet and at the press conference, explained to us why we are in the situation we are in. Because we, in 2013, again, this is a problem that came with our success. In 2013, the government agreed that we want to change the ways of connecting people to power. We increased the power connectivity from 2 million people to 9 million in the country. without improving on the transmission, the infrastructure transmission. Pro-generation is doing well. Power, KPLC is doing well. In fact, I wonder why KPLC took the burden this time. Because the problem failed at the transmission level. Yes, exactly. We never put money in the transmission. We've not put money. In fact, it's the only area that we don't have PPP contracts. Davis Chirchir himself, having been a cabinet secretary in the previous administration, had signed a contract for this Bomet Narok line that you had him talking about. And for some reason, after he exited, we just sat there, we forgot about it until the facility ended. And thankfully, he has pushed for another facility that now, yesterday, he briefed the cabinet and the president has briefed the nation that we have now procured a resource that is going to upgrade the grid, the line. And I'm glad also that he has got the ability to have the PPPs in the Ketrako line. So people are asking us, why is it in this administration that we have blackouts and we didn't have many blackouts before? It's because the transmission infrastructure is not there, the generation is higher, the transmission is low, and the consumption is high. So you have to invest in this middle one of the transmission to make sure that you solve the problem. So generally as a government...
Wait, you're saying we have blackouts because there is higher consumption now?
There is higher connectivity. There's higher connectivity, lesser transmission. So we need now to invest more on the transmission to make sure that we deal with this issue of power blackouts.
But what has happened in the last 6 months that has changed?
Well,
why didn't we have 4 blackouts last year?
Well, you have the explanation given by CS Chirchir that more power has been loaded to the grid. Yeah, and so there's more power that was on board in the last 1 year to the grid, and therefore the grid must be able to have the capacity to support that power, evacuation of that power.
I want to ask you, Waziri, as you give explanations on all this.
I have no problem, by the way, Eric, the way people have decided that I carry the entire problem of power blackout because of JKIA, the entire thing. That is the reason why there is something called collective responsibility. If KIPCHUMBA doesn't carry, the government can also still carry anyway. And we must give an explanation.
Let me ask you. For example, this explanation that you were given. Installation. It was because we didn't have the new generator. Now we are installing the new generator. Oh, no, it's because synchronization. Synchronization is very complex. You may not be an engineer, but surely you've dealt with generators.
Absolutely.
You've worked in places that have generators. You live in a place that has a standby generator.
Including the same airport. Some parts of that airport.
Right? Do you believe this story when you're told, it's a very complex engineering, this synchronization? I mean, it's not actually pulling. Do you believe it yourself? That it is so complex that it will take us months to actually figure out whether we have synchronized a generator?
The simple conclusion I came to, seeing what I saw, is that there was sabotage. And that's why I took a step to tell the DCI, the IG, to get the DCI to do his investigation. Meanwhile, we are also doing technical investigation that involves engineering and engineers. In fact, the Institute of Engineers have also offered to participate on a free auditing of the infrastructure at the airport. And we are going to use... The good thing is that, Eric, out of these systemic problems at the beginning of this administration, we have an opportunity to make a lasting change in what is going to happen at the airport. And I have told people, and I will continue saying this, I am confident that the systems and the administrative procedures we put in place in terms of hiring new people, in terms of investment, is going to make JKIA one of the best airports.
I have to hop on that just a little bit.
It sounds to me, hold on. It sounds to me like you are throwing new balls in the air all the time. Right? So you appointed a task force to look at what's happening at the airport. That task force has not even given you an interim report. You're bringing in DCI to look at what's happening at the airport. Those ones are working. You're bringing in KenGen engineers and other engineers to look at what's happening at the airport. Now you're even bringing the Institution of Engineers of Kenya and surely, Waziri.
No, Eric, you are mixing up issues. And I don't want the public to get confused. I don't want the public to get confused.
Same airport.
Yes.
Power goes off.
As I told you.
Power comes
on.
Why do we need so many things?
We will stop at nothing until we bring the river to the coast. And particularly when the airport, as far as the airport is concerned. The task force that I established is looking at entire infrastructure of the 3 airports. And I'm now going to make sure that they do it for the remaining airstrips across the country to make sure that we have proper infrastructure in place. It's an audit of the infrastructure. Number 2, the task force I formed is not new. It's not people who are going to be paid salary and allowances who are from outside. It is chaired by Engineer Walter Ogola, who is the chair of the technical committee of the board in KIA. The reason why we wanted to continue is because he had already started a good job and he was updating me. I needed them to get further support from other departments of government, like, as you said earlier, public works and other places. So we seconded those people to help them so that we do one clear audit. Remember, the reason why we put that task force was because of the leaking roof. Yeah, we realized that the infrastructure, and as I told you, the task force has established that we need to work on our drainage here. The task force has also recommended already that we need to urgently procure a contractor to save the airport in Mombasa, which is it's caving in with some erosion happening at one side of the in one side of the airport. All these reports have been put in place so that we sort out problems that have sat with us for many years, so that we don't become reactionary. I didn't want it. The reason why we put the task force in place is that we have a roadmap of what we are going to do, what we are going to do in 2 years, in 3 years, in 10 years, whatever period of time in terms of the infrastructure. And as I told you, one of the proposals they are making is that we must have a proper working maintenance policy that includes who does what is done at what period, what is being outsourced, what is done internally. So that task force does its job. The question of DCI is just basically to establish that the processes we are putting in place are not being sabotaged. I remember that we are still working on getting our security for the airport itself, for internally being sorted. But we also want to make sure that we get, remember the police are still part of the management of the airport. We have a unit that deals with that process. Those ones provide security in the airport. But when it comes to the investigation, and they give us information that can lead to investigation. So the investigation that is going to happen is just to clear that we are not having acts of sabotage in that line. And if it may be positive, it may be that there is no act of sabotage. The engineers who are coming to place will also still support the investigation process by the DCI, because these are technical people who can give information. What is the capacity of the generator? Is it the real, when tested, is it the real capacity of the generator that was procured? What was the process of synchronization? Who are the people who are doing the synchronization and so forth? So we just need to stop at nothing, Eric. Yeah, we need to stop at nothing until we make sure that our airport is back on course. And I want to
bring very many hands to turn the stone. Final question.
And I say this.
We got it.
The final thing, just looking at maintenance here as a big, I know you mentioned it, talking about a task force that you're bringing in next week, essentially, who will then make sure that the maintenance agenda is kept up to scratch, because it does seem as though that's a problem. And really, it shouldn't be you coming down to the airports every minute that something has gone wrong.
Absolutely.
But then where is the assurance that really people will be sure that if the lights go off, that an organization as critical as the airport then remains untouched?
First of all,
we still have to ask you that question.
First of all, for the confidence of everybody, we are not bringing in any other task force. We are completing next week the process of getting the general manager in charge of engineering. And I've told the board they must go out of their way to get the most qualified person to take up that responsibility. Thereafter, the board itself and the management will put in place a maintenance policy that will make sure that we maintain not just JKIA, but the entire country. The advertised positions of about 150 to 200 staff that we advertised recently, including those who are dealing with birds, which has become a menace for our aeroplanes at the airport and so forth, are going to be in place either between now and January. And all these positions will be filled to have human capacity to do the job. If these are things that 7 years people have been acting, there's somebody who's acted for 10 years. There's one who had acted since President Kibaki was in office. He told me the first time he acted on and off. At that time, it was the person in charge of finance. All those positions now, we are filling them so that we have the human resource that is going to do the job. Lastly, I want to say that a cabinet secretary is not supposed to definitely deal with this question of a generator here and so forth. But the impact of that generator failure is huge. Is huge. And therefore, you cannot sit in your office and say, let me do nothing about it and just get reports. I decided that I was going to dirty my hands, notwithstanding the misunderstanding out there from the public. What I want is results. And Eric, I want to assure you, the systems we put in place. People say, I promised the country that it will not happen again.
You did.
Yeah. But you must give me credit to say, I did say so, but you must give credit to the fact that I reduced the madness from 2 hours. We are dealing it to 20 or 30 minutes. Now, from there, no, honestly, I failed to get to zero the way I wanted, according to my expectation. And no, Eric, please. And we underestimated the depth of the problem in terms of both human resource and appreciation of the challenges that we had in that department. But having walked down to that level, I can now comfortably say that learning from the problems that we have seen today, we should be able to move this to zero, that we are not going to have the same problem happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Waziri, we are closing the year on this high. We open the year again on a high. Can you promise that you'll come back?
Be here?
Yes. In terms of
in January.
Yes.
And this time, talk about the SGR. And
yes.
the
Yes. First of all, before I close, just give me 1 minute. You know, I preside over a ministry that has achieved a lot over this 1 year. And I hope that we will have, even if it is not through this medium, as a ministry, we'll be able to release this information to the public. We've achieved a lot when it comes to the railway progress in terms of transportation of goods, unlocking of business between us and Uganda. I went to Malaba with the minister from Uganda. We made sure that there was seamless movement of wagons from Uganda to this other side. We are building about 35 commuter stations in Nairobi to improve transport, to move people in the city from the current 12,000 per day. We want to target 132,000 people per day. Tomorrow we are launching a new line from Riruta or somewhere Lenana there, all the way to Ngong, and eventually we will move people from Ngong to Kiserian. We want to Kiserian to also Rongai. We want to provide in that circuit a transport system of commuter rail in the city that will make sure that movement of people is done. We are connecting XGR in Mombasa from the SGR itself to the town itself. We are in the process of getting a new what we call SGR conversations about extension from Naivasha to Malaba. In this airport conversation, let's not lose sight of the fact that we have opened new lines to Migori, to Homa Bay, to Kakamega in this 1 year, that I have facilitated movement of new airlines to Mombasa, new airlines to Nairobi. We have passed aviation policy. We have achieved a lot, even in the transport NTSA sector. We have reduced the number of accidents this year, and I'll be making that announcement next week. We have also dealt with the questions of number plates and driving licenses to make it more seamless. We've migrated our data now to an e-citizen, and we are trying to reform that side of the NTSA side. We have installed speed cameras on a pilot project, both by NTSA and you've seen in Southern Bypass and the other side of Thika Road. We have installed also in Kinungi and in James Kishuru, Wayaki Way. We are testing it, and eventually in this coming year, I hope we roll out speed cameras across the country. We have done so much, in this ministry, beyond a generator.
Beyond the generator.
And yet people, Eric, and I just want to say this, people want to reduce all this effort that we've done in financing, in all this kind of thing, to the minister only failed in a generator. Granted, this has been a challenge we dealt with. And I tell you, come next January when you call me, we will have advertised a construction of a new airport terminal at JKIA. And in another 3 years, those who are saying now crucify him, in the next 3 years will be saying Murkomen Osana.
KIPCHUMBA MURKOMEN, Cabinet Secretary for Road and Transport, thank you very much for joining us. You've hidden your watch today. We were not able to see the watch.
My watch is a simple watch.
It's a simple one.
In fact, yours is more expensive. I don't know where this
so today he has come with the cheaper watch.
I have no expensive watch.
Thank you, Waziri. Waziri KIPCHUMBA MURKOMEN has been our guest.
This is The Situation Room. the only way to start your day.